It's okay. I was very bad at it, but you sure you don't want to get that Fruit Ninja Classic? It's there.
Yeah, fuck no. Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Gonzalez, and with me today is my good old friend, J.E.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember, we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing okay. I'm looking for other arcade games that you could get because there's some good ones out there. Let me look here. Let look into. And I didn't play too much of it, but it is a lot of fun. I just stopped for whatever reason. But freaking, where is it? I don't see it.
I wish they had a Digimon game on there.
Oh, speaking of, did you see Digimon Cyber Sleuth is like $10 on the PSN double deals right now?
That's great and all, Jay, but we have so many games to play.
That's true.
In fact,
that's true.
We can't talk about these games today. Today we are creating something new. Every week, we are not game devs. We create a new exciting video game idea that we have always wanted to play, but do not have any knowledge or know how to create the wonderful experience that is video games. And today is my honor to present We Are Not Game Devs 160th IP.
Before we get there, and you're taking a swallow, Next Stop Nowhere is what it's called, and it's a pretty cool time. But download Butter Royale. We should get into Butter Royale. I like Butter Royale. I told you about this way back when it first launched on Apple Arcade. Way back when Apple Arcade first launched. But it's a Battle Royale game, but all your weapons are like food. So like, I don't know. I don't remember the games.
You don't have to tell me anymore.
Like
I'm in.
Like a baguette bazooka and shit. All right, anyway, go.
I'm in. All right. Now for this game, I am creating a game where you play as an archaeologist, paleontologist, and you're in a job site. And as you're brushing around, you come back one day because you find out that corporate overlords are going to take these bones, this big discovery you just found, and you want to go back and take pictures of it to document it. And as you're brushing around at this big discovery, the ground falls out from under you. And what you land in is this oil. And as you think you're going to die and you feel yourself going to the bottom, you drop through again. And you land in what is this lush world where you find these dinosaur skeletons that have become reanimated and are moving around. And now you're in here trying to craft weapons and trying to survive while avoiding some of the dinosaurs and maybe using others. Now, what this is based on is what you found is that these bones were all in the oil, but what happened was as their flesh and the bacteria create oil, they would actually fall down and would be so heavy that they would actually go through into the core. From there, something in there is bringing them together and making them animated once more, and you need to find out what. Or you just need to fucking survive, honestly. I mean, you can find out if you want. Okay. What do you think?
When you said you just have to survive, do you want this to be kind of like a...
I want it to be a third-person action game where you have to craft... You don't have to craft all that much, but you're kind of roaming around, and I guess it's a little bit of survival because you're avoiding these dinosaurs. And what they run off of is marrow. So when they kill something, if they kill a bony dinosaur, they crack open the dinosaur's bones inside to drink their marrow and eat it. And they would do the same for you and any other living creatures in order to keep themselves sustained and living. I want the dinosaurs to look fucking awesome. I want there to be a bunch of different bony dinosaurs. I want this to have different effects.
Oh, wait. These dinosaur bones are just reanimated. They're not.
Yeah.
They don't have skin and flesh on them. They're just the bones of these dinosaurs, like Night at the Museum type of shit.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, that makes way more sense. And how about instead of it being marrow, we could just make it tar? Like they go through these oil tar pits, right? Like how elephants were killed at the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. And the bones. It's like that one zombie game. I forget which one it was. I think it was one of the Resident Evils where the tar like gets absorbed into the bones, and then that's what reanimates them.
Perfect. And it doesn't have to be just dinosaurs. I want it to be all manner of extinct animals from different places in the past. So depending on where you're going through this place, imagine Journey to the Center of the Earth meets Night at the Museum meets kind of like a Horizon Zero Dawn, but instead you're a modern guy or girl going through this. And you're going to find things like sloth bears, saber tooths, woolly mammoths. They're not woolly anymore. And all manner of creature. Now, what I need is a good complex story and some kind of way to play this game. I think it'd be cool if it's survival based where you're sneaking around, you're clamoring. I think that you're going to have to definitely look around, maybe find other explorers who had been here. Maybe you find Darwin dead here and you find like a knapsack that has a hook shot. So then you can swing from place to place and go from there. I want to make traversal fun. I want to make looking at the dinosaurs interesting. And maybe you're carrying a journal and you just want to absorb data on these creatures.
Quick question. Are you also a skeleton walking around, an animated skeleton? Because my thing is I'm assuming going through the oil or the tar is what
holy shit, that'd be kind of cool.
Bones.
Is if you were also undead at that point too.
Yeah.
That would create some cool gameplay characteristics.
Maybe also what it is you'll notice there are some bony creatures that do have some flesh regrowing on them, and what it is the more tar that they are able to consume, they slowly start rebuilding their bodies.
And I want the end of this game to be as you're covering more clues and as you feel like you're discovering this lost civilization and kind of figuring out more and more about the world, you stumble upon an actual encampment where there's like a town of these people who have been living there, who some are flesh, some aren't, and you see it all happening. And maybe like the babies are skeletons, and that's how it ends.
And then you'll also meet the chief, who it just looks like a normal ass person, but it's because he's been drinking all the tar the hunters and gatherers bring to him. I don't think the game should end there. I think the game should end with you jumping through another tar pit and re-emerging on the other side back on Earth as a living being. But last question, I guess, before we get into the meat of it, is do you want this to feel more like a Horizon or like a Sony type of game, or more like a survival, like Ark Survival type of game where it's more like Fallout 76 or Rust or something?
No, like I want it to feel more weighted, like more of a first person story here. Yeah. I don't want there to be I want the weapons to be different in the sense that I think it'll be cool if you have a hook shot, if you have something like bolas, which are basically it's a rope between two weighted balls that you can then throw, and it links around limbs, but would be great for bones, right? And I think that would be a great addition, as well as maybe some other things, so that you're mostly trapping.
I think your other weapon of choice being like an archaeologist or whatever would be a hammer, because I think a hammer would be
hammer
cool.
And a shovel, right?
Yeah, just to smash and shatter bones in terms of using particle effects, and also I feel like a sword or like guns obviously won't work very well against bones, but a hammer would.
Yeah. I think a hammer would be great. I think it'll do something like you're setting up a trap using your shovel, maybe your bolas and some other weapons along the way. And then like as a piece of like, let's say you trap a leg, you would then run over and hammer the shit out of that leg until it bursts. and gives you nourishment and replenishment, and then you're chasing down this thing that's now a little bit more debilitated. I think that I still want there to be a couple of things in the game that you can't touch, like obviously like a Tyrannosaurus Rex that you'd have to avoid. That's like constantly roaming the level.
Do you want them to feel like set pieces, like big cinematic moments where you're just running from a T-Rex type of thing?
Yeah, one of those. Another moment where maybe throughout the game until you get stronger in that first act, there's a group of 4 or 5 raptors that are chasing you. And that's what propels you forward into the town, you know, as they're the main narrative device that keeps you going.
Environmentally, what does it look like?
I'm imagining
lush, so do you think
I'm imagining like a steamy, humid jungle, so that there's like but it's gonna look different in the sense that
sorry to interrupt, but I have an idea that I kind of just want to put by you. What if, because you fell through and you're in the Earth's like crust, right? What if it was like a series, you're in caves, but it is like a forest, but you will notice that you are in a series of tunnels and caves and chambers with stalagmites and also trees. So I'm thinking it could kind of look like how the plants look like in Avatar, where it's like these weird, interesting looking plants, and then maybe some fungi and stuff like that. And then there's also like interesting structures because it's like plants growing off of stalagmites, and also like you're in a cave-like environment as well.
So I think what you and I are kind of on the same wavelength, where I also want it to be where there's going to be like small lava pools, but what I want there to mostly be is bioluminescence, so that there's that the trees and the stalagmites are glowing differently because there's bacteria and like different worms and stuff algae that glow.
That. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they're glowing algae, glowing worms, glowing fungi, and even then, if there's certain animals that maybe because they're gathering tar, they're able to glow too because they're able to use that tar to light it on fire for defense reasons and stuff like that.
Another thing I do want to be part of this game, and I think a lot of the environments and also the types of things that you see down here would be just anything in history that's just disappeared, right? So like I feel like there's going to be in part of this game where you walk through and it's like an oasis. You'll go through these tunnels and then you'll merge into this like super like wide open cavernous area and just filled with water, right? And all you see here are ships from every era, and it's all the ships that went missing during and you can have like the Bermuda Triangle and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
And you can have a bunch of different sea creatures that are absolutely huge. Whether that means, you know, you're gonna have like a crocodile which has lived forever, you know, massive whales and stuff of that nature, where you could even start seeing things like imagine a creature that looks like War of the Worlds, where it has really tall, skinny legs that imagine like what would be like a fleshy spaceship with 3 or 4 eyes on top of it that glow bioluminescent, like a nice like light blue, and you see it skimming along the water, and it looks kind of small, almost the size of a table. And then as you see it emerge on land, it gets freakishly tall as it has these legs that it has actually been walking on the seafloor with. And then it just has like these dangling, like pink glowy things that tries to like wrap you up and kill you. So different stuff like that. Just weird creatures that you can kind of use where there's no basis for what they are. And we can use anything that we've seen in history or things that are mythological. Wyverns, dragons, they can be in this. things that people have thought they've seen, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can even start doing hybrid mixes where some of the bones mixed together in
Oh
a
yeah,
different way and came back to life.
definitely can do that. Um, in terms of, I guess, traversal, obviously you mentioned a hook shot, which I'm totally cool with. You're also made of bone, and a lot of other dudes and things that you meet will be made of bone. And so with that, I'm assuming you're also lighter. And so maybe there's something we could come up with that will make sense in this world.
Oh, you know what you could do? What if, because you're made out of bone, you can incorporate different pieces into your own body, but something not anything too crazy, but something
No, I
like,
think
for
we should get
instance,
crazy.
like webbing for hands and feet, like from a sea creature, so you can swim faster, with maybe like a dorsal fin like bone on your back, so then you're able to move through water easier. And then I'm even thinking like back glider from like different like prehistoric lizards, so then you can glide from place to place, making it easier for you to traverse. And you
Yeah.
can even do things where like you can adapt claws on terrestrial ground, so you can dig and make traps faster than your shovel would.
I like it. What if we took it not a step further, but an added step to it, where you throughout the game you'll be collecting a currency, right? And that currency would obviously be tar. You'll be collecting tar every time you kill a creature or capture a creature. You'll collect the tar from its bones, and you will eventually be able to use the tar to add parts to your body that are fleshier, because if you're cool with it, the more tar you consume, the more flesh you gain back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so with the tar currency, you could eventually start using it to upgrade your body with other body parts, other bone parts, and it becomes, like you said, webbed feet. Obviously your bones, that wouldn't happen, but if you upgrade with tar, the webbing will come to your feet, and like the fins and stuff like that will all start appearing. And all of this leads up towards the end of the game, where by the end you are this nasty skinless piece of meat that is just a chimera of different animal parts. And when you
That
go
I like
through this
that.
portal and you go back into the human world, maybe you open the portal for the rest of everything else to come through, and then everyone comes through as these weird chimeras into the real world, and it puts it up for the sequel.
All right, and I think that would be great. That way you can choose what you want to kill and what you want to incorporate and what you want to eat, so that you can become a kind of a chimera through the game, but not overly crazy, but something that when you meet the townsfolk, you're like, why the fuck do you guys all look like this?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll tell you, and it's to survive. No,
Yeah.
I'm glad with where we're at with it.
So maybe you get to the village pretty soon on, and then that's where you go to they teach you how to use the tar to upgrade your body, and that's where you go buy equipment and new armor and new weapons and stuff like that. Would be in this place to spend your tar and all that.
I like it. I like it. All right, what kind of music are we listening to? I wanted somewhere between creepy sounding orchestral music with like creepy wonderment. We're not apex predators here yet, but you're kind of like, this world is still something like it's your dream come true in a way, as you are this paleontologist falling in, but it's also like a nightmare realized at the same time. So what does that translate to music? A cello? No, two dread. A cello and a
I
flute?
mean, yeah, I think it's going to be an orchestrated score. Like it's gonna actually be a score game and no like I don't know, licensed music or whatever. But yeah, I see it as like cello and flute based, and then maybe we could also have um I don't know, probably like I don't see anything against having like a synthesizer to get like more of like an atmospheric
Yeah.
feel to the environment or whatnot. Um, but yeah, most definitely, I see the soundtrack as being very dark and gloomy, but also like you said, kind of like you're discovering a new world. So there's like a bit of like a fascination or like
Mm-hmm.
a uplifting moments to the soundtrack, but for the most
Like a
part,
little
it's
bit
going
of
to be dark and
awe in
foreboding.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, and just so we're both here, we want this game to look good, right? Like this game's gonna look nice and realistic with pretty graphics. We want this thing to be looking good.
yeah. I think it's going to look pretty good in terms of graphic quality, but it's
Mm-hmm.
going to look very gross in my head because there's going to be
Dripping tar
bones,
off bone and
yeah, with
flesh.
like flesh just
What's great
rotting
is
off.
because of carapaces and everything, unless you want to make it so, there isn't really going to be bugs unless the bugs are just like grubs full of tar, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be like a lot of insects and stuff like
Like
that,
not
or
a,
like
like a fly,
flies.
not in the
Yeah,
traditional sense.
because they
So I'm
have no
thinking
bones, so they're just gonna, you know, dissolve right
exactly.
through. Only things with exoskeleton, or not exo, the opposite of exoskeletons, actual
Or plant
skeletons.
life that can draw out and hold it. Yeah.
Well,
All
I
right.
think all the plant life already existed down here. Like it's gonna be new types of plant life that we make for this game, kind of like what they
Right.
did for Avatar. And I think lore wise, the plants probably help with this tar magic that's happening down there. Like the plants have something to do with it. Maybe they do photosynthesis differently where they're not doing the whole oxygen thing. They're doing something completely different
Oh
that
yeah, because they don't
helps.
have they don't have the sun.
Yeah, that helps
And
with
maybe that's
the
what you have to
tar.
deal with too, is it isn't really an oxygen rich environment the same way. So maybe your first adaptation would have to be some type of breathing apparatus or biological evolution.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this leads me obviously to say that's going to be a $70 price point game or 60
Yeah,
full pop.
$70 is what I'm thinking. And also, what do you think of the major hub city that you go to time and time again throughout your adventures? Let's just make it Atlantis. It sunk in the ocean and went through this tar pit thing
Yeah,
in one of the crusts and just ended up down there.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, that works for me. Perfect. All right, let's get that timer out. We're going to name this game.
And go. Uh,
Nepali.
Keep that in the bank. I have one. And you're going to have to stick with me because it's not going to make sense at first. I want to call it something along the lines of either like Lucifer or Beelzebub or whatever his name is, Beelzebub or
Oh,
whatever,
Beelzebub.
Beelzebub. Specifically because I want to push for the ending where, yeah, you beat the game. There's a giant tar portal in front of this like altar shrine thing that you get to at the end. That the Atlanteans were hiding from your character, right? This whole game, you walk through it, but then walking through this tar portal opens it up for the rest of this underground area, and you come out this winged, webbed feet, crazy looking demon, and everyone just thinks you're Lucifer, and it's like the next coming of like
Yeah,
like
but
people
that's
think like rapture is happening.
I like that, but that's not exactly where we can go with it. I was thinking like if you want to go that route, because then people would be like, if you were to play the game buying Lucifer, you would expect something of that nature,
Like
and
hell,
then
like Hades type of
yeah, so
shit.
you'd get all the way to the end, and you're like, okay, there it is. What
I
about like
mean,
Underworld?
yeah, I'm fine with Underworld. Well, what was
That
Napoli? What is that? What where did that come from?
I just wanted to call the place something,
Mm,
but
that makes sense.
Underworld works perfectly
So you
because
just threw a word out there.
it still works with your ending where everyone would freak out and people would think they're he's from hell, but it's the Underworld.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we could call your main character his name or her name or whatever,
Whoops.
something like similar to Lucifer, and then like I don't know, would be
Well, it'd actually be
Lucy's the
perfect
only
if you
thing.
called them Lucy, and it's
Yeah.
a woman because I think Lucy was also the first hominid or Neanderthal found. They nicknamed it Lucy.
Oh, I think you're on to something. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, Underworld. We're cool
I
with
hope so.
that.
Yes.
2 minutes 17 seconds.
All right. Would this be a game you'd want to play, Jay? Do you think this would be fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'd check it out. It sounds like a Sony ass fucking game. I feel like now that I forget the name of the game studio, but the dudes who made Setsuna's Sacrifice Hellblade or whatever,
Oh, hell
uh,
yeah. Senua's Sacrifice.
since that got over to Xbox as an Xbox first party game, maybe this could be Sony's response to kind of more of this dark narrative driven type of game, but has very heavy like Uncharted influences, you know what I mean? And I think it just fits Sony's profile and
Mm-hmm.
fills the hole that Hellblade, that dark kind of game, fills that hole in a little bit. I mean, we got games like Devil May Cry and stuff like that, but nothing like, oh, I guess there is Bloodborne, but it'll be in that space, you know.
Most definitely. All right. I obviously this is a Alex ass game. This would be something that I'd have a ton of fun playing. Not only are there animals, but there's evolutions, there's exploration. It's just basically a love letter to myself. So, that being said, what game studio do you think would make Underworld the best? I'll go first and shoot off the hip. Santa Monica Studios.
Mm,
If they had a little pet project similar to what Overwatch was for Blizzard, if they were to make something like this, I think it would be splendid and the fan base would rejoice.
yeah, I mean, let's just keep the Sony studios out there and let's just give it to Naughty Dog, you know.
Another
We've
great one.
seen
They know how to do archaeologists, paleontologists, and then
Mhm,
they'd be able
mhm.
to do the kind of instead of doing Last of Us zombies, they'll be doing more of like creatures. That works great.
Yeah. Another Sony studio that I think could do something really cool with it would be shoot, I'm blanking on it now. No, it's gone. I lost it. But that being said, Gorilla could also do something cool. I mean, I see very strong parallels to Horizon, so they already have like the fighting mechanics kind of down. You just have to
Yeah.
change the weapon play a little bit, you know. But fighting giant creatures, Horizon, it's already done. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, no, most definitely. And then I was thinking if you want this game to look really crisp, yeah. I was gonna say Blue Point, but they've only done like remakes up till now.
Mm. But who, you know, they could do it. They worked on very similar like dark style games. And speaking of, From Software and or
Yeah.
Kojima Productions, you know, like
No, definitely.
they could both make a really weird, crazy version of this game.
Hell yeah. And with that, our 160th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that will probably never release. You can write to @poundgames@gmail.com if you have anything to patch into the game we create today. Also, give us feedback. We're still learning how to make this show better, and your feedback really helps. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to back our ideas, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Patrons receive episodes 2 days early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which you caught the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. If you liked our show, why not subscribe and give us all the stars on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, YouTube, and more. And if they ask for a review instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review Underworld, the video game we just created today. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Friday with another new IP. My name is Alex Gonzalez.
And I'm Jay Yee.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs.
Somewhere hidden in this game, somewhere out there, maybe we'll give it to Insomniac just so this can happen, is in the tar somewhere. There's like a hidden venom just like lurking out there or whatever, because like he kind of looks like tar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or that could be something in the sequel where the tar like comes to life and starts taking over animals and like kind of putting an over shield on top of them. So now it's like tarry.
I got a new name for this game. It's no longer called Underworld. It's just called Venom. This is Venom's origin story.
Venom's world where he lived, and there was other Venoms that took over different creatures.
Yeah.
I like it.